Hello, hello, hello. Testing. So, if this ends up being the one that goes live, that's we're having some technical problems. Our master of operations, Akuma, is trying to do a workaround, so hopefully this works.
It might be. The microphone seems to be picking up now.
But apparently the microphone is working. So we'll give time for some people to come in and then we'll start. However, assuming that this is the one that works, I just want to say a thank you to Akuma for hosting us and for setting up the studio and for giving us the equipment to do this, because I would be utterly lost when it comes to dealing with anything technical. So I'm very grateful to the fact that Akuma has stepped in where there was a need and met that need. I'm going to be really rude and probably eat something whilst doing this. So I apologize for that, but I haven't eaten any tea, and it was a long journey to get here. So Akuma has very kindly bought us some pizza, and I will nibble on that whilst we're talking.
So if you probably just do a technical check just to make sure.
How do you do a technical check?
Just say to everyone, if you can hear in the chat, just.
No one's come through yet.
Yeah.
You're probably all stuck at the old one.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've left it.
I've ended that one.
You've ended that one?
Yeah.
Does this work? Can you hear me, Bobby G? Hello, hello.
Yes.
Hey, there we go. Thanks be to God. Welcome. How you doing, Hopsky? How you doing, Bobby G? Nice to see you. Sorry about all the technical issues. The long and short of it is that a new computer was put in yesterday, and hi nature enthusiast. A new computer was put in yesterday, and there was a problem with the cam and the mic. But Akuma, our master of operations today, has managed to find a workaround, and resultantly we now have a live stream going on, which is great. How are we doing, Martin Bell? Nice to meet you. I'm not an entertainer, so if you're looking for entertainment, I'm sure there's far better YouTube channels to go on to. If you're here because you want to talk serious stuff. You're not coming because you're looking to be entertained by someone who's got a buzzing personality. If you want that, and you're certainly not here for the looks. Let's put it that way. I want to start just by reading a psalm. And as I do that, that just gives time for people to log in, and then we'll start questions and conversations. And it's really about the politics that's going off today that I want to talk about. So I'll just start by reading a psalm relevant to the theme, which is politics. Thanks very much, Nature Enthusiast. That's very kind of you. So let's begin. Why are the nations in an uproar, and the peoples devising a vain thing? The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us tear their fetters apart and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens laughs, the Lord scoffs at them. Then he will speak to them in his anger and terrify them in his fury, saying, but as for me, I have installed my king upon Zion, my holy mountain. I will surely tell of the decree of the Lord. He said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will surely give the nations as your inheritance, and the very ends of the earth as your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall shatter them like earthenware. Now therefore, O kings, show discernment. Take warning, O judges of the earth. Worship the Lord with reverence and rejoice with trembling. Do homage to the Son, that he not become angry with you, and you perish in the way. For his wrath may soon be kindled. How blessed are all who take refuge in him. And that, my friends, is the theme of our evening, which is the fact of that our only true king as the church is our Lord Jesus Christ. and it is to him that all governments should kneel and bow. So I just want to say hi to Tippy Bear. How's Mickey? And to Martin Ellen, I think I said hello to you. To Draka Dragon, are you a gamer? Hopsky and his daughter. What a beautiful name. So say hello to everybody, and peace of the Lord be with you all. I want to talk, and do feel free to ask questions, but obviously if you all jump in with a question, I'll end up missing some. So maybe take it in turns to ask a question, and let me tackle that before someone else chucks in another question. But I want to talk about Brexit. If you're not bored of it, if you are bored of it, let me know. I'll talk about some other political issue. Just type bored if you don't want to talk about Brexit. But if you're happy to talk about Brexit, we'll talk about Brexit. Yay, Hopsky wants to talk about Brexit. Watching you ski, watching you SK. I have embraced Jesus after many years in darkness. God bless you. Thanks be to God, Steve Peters. You are the reason why we do this. And we give up our Friday evenings and we travel across London, and we get shouted at by insane nutters down at the park who probably drink too much coffee.
Far River. Ooh.
Whom, sorry?
Bethany.
Isabel. Hi, Bob, away from Fall River.
Wow.
MA. That, oh, USA.
Oh.
Thanks be to God, Bethany. Hi from the UK. Her Majesty asks kindly for her colonies back, please. We're only joking. I love the USA. So, yeah, we want to talk about Brexit. So if you have a real desire not to talk about Brexit, do say so. Otherwise, I will assume by your absence of protest that it's okay to press on with that topic. Yeah, we have a lot of love. Oi, Mohammed Hijab, how are we doing? Can you believe it?
Oh my!
Is that Mohammed Hijab there?
Oh, it looked like him.
Mr. Allah praise to Mohammed.
MMA fighter.
Yeah. How did I vote? So I'll deal with that question first. I voted for Brexit. And the reason why I voted for Brexit was because I'd come to the conclusion that the EU was anti-church, anti-Christian, and therefore anti-Christ. Nice to meet you, Frank, Zach, and Lady Samurai. Quite possibly Mohammed could be a troll. It might not be Mohammed Hijabi, but the photo looks like him. Anyway, so yeah, I voted for Brexit, and I'll come to that question. So what I'm asking is, let me deal with one question before you throw out another one. Otherwise, I'll miss your questions, and then you'll get all frustrated with me. This is the first time I've done this, by the way. Thank you so much, GTV. First time I've done it, so I'm not a natural at this by any means.
You assume me?
Maybe. Thank you, HGKAL808. You play World of Tanks by any chance? So I voted for Brexit because I think the EU as an institution is anti-Christian. It wants to build a European identity based upon a civic identity, a kind of identity that's connected to the citizen of the EU, as opposed to any sort of connection to its historical background, its heritage. Hi there, Hawkeye. It's Judeo-Christian heritage. I wouldn't go so far as to saying that it's a new USSR, no. But what it is it's a liberal superstate. And it's very much deliberately set up because it sees itself as being a counterweight to China on one side and America on the other, which I personally think is a spit in the face to America that saved Europe twice. Well, 3 times if you include the Cold War, from tyranny. And instead, the EU decides that it wants to be a counterweight to the USA, which I find absolutely baffling, that our closest and bravest ally in Western Europe should suddenly be seen as something that we have to set ourselves up against. In terms of the EU dimensions, it was actually started by well-meaning Catholics, well-meaning Christians, who, in the backdrop of World War II, wanted to find a way to do peace and create peace in Europe. Mohammed, you need to learn maths, mate. The belief in the Trinity is infinity plus infinity plus infinity equals infinity. If you're going to start making mathematical arguments, at least make sensible ones. Otherwise, perhaps you should just go back and do GCSE maths. Anyway, so in terms of, thank you very much, Sisi. Is that the president of Egypt by any chance? In terms of, it is a fake Mohammed hijab. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. He still needs to do maths, whoever he is. Yes, Hadouken indeed. So the EU was a desire to try and create a peace. Initially, it was a trading bloc, and the idea was to create to mesh the economies of Europe together so much that the price of war became too high. So in that sense, it was a good idea. There's nothing wrong with building peace, but it's an experiment that's now gone out of control, and it has been taken over by bureaucrats, self-appointed, many of them, who are just creating an administrative superstructure and a huge gravy train that they are sitting on, and are so distantly removed from the average person that no one can really call it a democratic system. Not that that in itself would merit our support, because from a Christian perspective, our reason for supporting something is, as Christ said, you're either with me or you're against me. You're either for me or you're against me. You either gather in with me or you
super chat.
you scatter abroad. Thank you, Akuma. So thank you, John McDermott, for that blessing. If you want to ask a question, John, I'll come to your question next. So in terms of the EU, as Christians, we've got to ask: is the EU pro-church? Is it pro the Christian message? Is it pro the Christian faith? And I remember a few years ago that certain countries in the EU that had a more of a Christian identity argued that the EU should recognize in its constitution its Christian heritage, and that was voted down by the EU. And because it wants to build this civic identity rather than a Christian identity, as Christians, a civic identity that is not rooted on Christ is not a Christian identity, so therefore they are scattering abroad. And as Christians, that means we should oppose it. I think someone asked, will we do well out of Brexit? Will the UK do well out of Brexit? I think in the short term, no. Economically, we will suffer. I think our strategical importance to places like America might diminish. However, that isn't the reason why I would vote for or against Brexit. For me, it's about whether the EU, whether any institution is, some of the messages on here, you'll have to forgive me, I'm not really used to seeing all of these messages and all of these kinds of arguments. I'll try to ignore them and focus on what I'm saying for a bit. The EU is an institution that we've got to judge about whether it is pro or for the church or not. And if it isn't, then it's not something we need to support. And actually, the recent sort of angles that the EU has taken on issues such as throwing its borders wide open to the world has no sort of thought to the Judeo-Christian heritage of Europe as a whole. And we can only thank countries like Hungary and Poland for standing up. Thank you. We have a policeman. I'm guessing is that you, JC? Yeah, if he just causes trouble, just kick him out. Like, we're here for conversation, not to be trolled. And that will be the rule of our live stream. Like, have a conversation or you're out. Yeah, so that's essentially our view of it. I think Britain will probably suffer in the short to medium term, but then in the long term, as things readjust in society, what we will see is the UK economy recovering, evening out. That I think is the most likely outcome. I mean, at one possible extreme, the most negative extreme, Brexit could lead up to the breakup of the UK, and it could possibly even lead to a civil war, because we have all the ingredients of a civil war in the UK. It just needs a spark, and a massive economic downturn would put a lot of people onto the streets. Those people would have severe disagreements, and that could lead to widespread social unrest. But I think the most likely route is the inner road. I think there possibly would be some kind of social unrest, but to what level, I don't really know. So tell us, guys, let me ask you a question. Like, how did most of you vote? If you just sort of put down Brexit or Remain, just so I can see how most of you voted. You're all anonymous, so I wouldn't worry about your employers finding out how you voted. Why are we asking for Amber Leaf to be banned? I didn't see her do anything. Oh, right. Okay, I see. Yeah, she's a bit of a troll. Yeah, guys, just as a rule, like, I'm happy to have anyone on the live stream from any ideological persuasion, even if you're anti-Christian. But the rule is we're not here for trolling. So this is just conversation. And if you can't do that, we'll just block you. Like, we're not here to deal with that. If you want to come and heckle me, come to the corner and heckle me. Plenty of people do it there. Amen, Lonleb. Yes, that will be a rule, actually. Like, zero blasphemy. Yay, we love America. I love America, or Americans rather. Yes, you did. You're famous, Amber Leaf. Okay, so most of you who've actually bothered to say are Brexit. I'm guessing the rest of you probably didn't have a chance to vote. So now let me expand the conversation to include anyone from another country. To, would you have voted for Brexit, or would you have voted to remain within a wider super state? Thank you, Megatron, and to you, brother. Okay, so it seems that Brexit, and I think actually from my discussions with Christians, I don't know if you feel the same, Akuma, but most of my Christian friends all told me that they voted Brexit.
Yeah.
So it seems that the will of the church, certainly in this country, has been pro-Brexit and anti-EU. And you've got to bear in mind that the church is a multi-ethnic, a multinational community. So there's none of this little Englander thing going off in the church. You've got people from all different kinds of backgrounds, and many of them have voted for Brexit or support Brexit, even if they couldn't vote. And I don't think that should be ignored. There's a reason why the EU has lost its connection with Christians, and that's because the EU has demonstrated time and time again that it has no concern for a religious identity. And I think as Christians, this poses a question to us. How do we want to engage in politics? I think what is lacking in the church is a clear Christian political narrative in which we as a church, as a community, as a body of people, think about what politically is in the best interests of our own community. And that is what a political Christian narrative would look like. And the reality is that too many Christians, they borrow from the political ideologies of others. So you'll find Christians who borrow from the labor movement and socialism, or you'll find Christians borrowing from the conservatives and the conservative movement in the UK. And very much, I think it's the same in the USA. And I suspect it's probably true in other countries. But what we need to have born in all of these countries are Christian political parties working to represent what are the interests of the Christian community in those democracies. So I'd like to ask you guys, like, that thought that I've just posed to you, How do you feel about that? What's your thoughts on it? Is it an idea that you've heard preached before? Have you heard it in your churches? If you want to just put a yes or a no. Tommy, is Tommy here? Is that Tommy Robinson or just another Tommy? Tommy D. Shelby?
No, she's a Christian.
She's a Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, I can take it people know one another.
Yeah, some of them do, yeah.
Okay, guys, right.
Yeah.
I see that some of you already know one another and are friends, so I apologize about that. Yeah. Too many questions, guys, for me to address all at once. I voted for I vote for the Christian People's Alliance in the UK. And when they're not on the ballot box, my next go-to party is UKIP. However, UKIP is there by default, and I would normally go for the Christian People's Alliance. How many of you, wherever you are, in whichever country you're in, let me ask you this question, and just put a yes or a no. Are you aware of a Christian political party in your country? And maybe just put next to your answer which country you're in, so we can see. No, no. Okay. Unbelief, thank you for that sentiment, love. I can see you're full of joy. Okay, so no, basically. So we are talking into, we got one yes in the US. Okay, but overwhelmingly the answers seem to be no. And that means that we're talking into a real thing, which is that we Christians are not organized politically, which means that we are giving our energy and our resources to other political movements that are not necessarily working in our own best interests. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, that is something that we as Christians need to develop, and it is very much a theme that you will hear me talk about a lot. And it's an idea that I genuinely believe that God is calling his church to step up and to start pursuing the interests of the church politically. And that means we have to separate ourselves from the Labour Party, from the Conservative Party, from UKIP, from the Republican Party, from the Democrat Party, insert your own party here. And we have to create a Christian political party that is advancing the cause of the kingdom and defending the needs of the church, i.e. the Christian peoples, so that the Christian community has genuine representation in politics. But we've got to do that. We've got to change the way that we think about these kinds of things. You know, I think too many Christians, we kind of look for someone else to do it for us. Tippy Bear, on that point, that doesn't stop Christians from setting up a political party. I understand that there's a separation between the institution of the church and the institution of the state in US politics. But the separation of those institutions doesn't stop laity like yourself setting up a political party. Yeah. John, do you agree, Bob, that Christianity is the most persecuted religion in the entire world? Yes, absolutely. The Christian community is by far the largest persecuted religious community in the world, and it is a Christian. It is something now that I think even other people are starting to recognize. The British government is just recently starting to launch an investigation that will be published, a report that's going to be published before Easter, looking at the persecution of Christians. The Hungarian government, God bless them, and may they be granted success, has set up a entire department to help persecuted Christians. You know, and that's what we need in every government, that claims to reflect and represent and to be proud of its Christian identity, is a genuine concern for the persecuted church. But that will not come until people like us are putting this issue of the persecuted church as the #1 political issue that we drive into the center of politics. Muslims have managed to drive Palestine into the center of politics. Why? not because they really care about Palestinians. I'm sorry, what am I showing?
Online wipe. He's the one that puts the video.
Okay, yeah. Okay, hi there, online wipe. Akuma is sort of helping coach me through this, to be fair. So, you know, big shout out to Akuma, who's not only set this up, but is sort of like guiding me on some of the decorums about how you do live streams. So as Christians, we need to push this issue into the center of politics. Muslims don't care. Muslims on the whole don't care about Palestine. If they cared about Muslims being persecuted, they'd care about the Kurds.
Yeah.
Okay, Manny can wait 5 minutes while I finish his point, because John paid £5 and I feel I owe him a decent answer. So, you know, like as Christians, you know, if they care about persecuted Muslims, they'd care about the Rohingya in the same way that they care about the Palestinians, or the Kurds in the same way they care about the Palestinians, or countless other groups. But they use the Palestinians as a tool to push other agendas. And as Christians, we have to push into the center of politics using all the same methods that have been used by Muslims, marches and protests, and engaging other people in our struggle, and bring them to recognize and to identify with the plight of persecuted Christians, so that that issue becomes number one. Now, that's just one step of many other steps that need to happen to support persecuted Christians. I think ultimately, you know, in places like the Middle East, we need to establish Christian states where Christians can set up their own economies and govern their own security issues, and have self-determination in terms of, okay, whoever is our moderator, could we get Amber Leaf to leave, please? She is mocking the Christ, and that's not what this is about. So in terms of the Middle East, we need to establish Christian states where they can be saved, where they can be safe and have self-determination. John, I hope that is the beginning of a good answer for you. But there are a lot more things that Christians need to do to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters. And my final thought on that before we move over to Mandy's show is that go and study something called liberation theology. Now, liberation theology came out of Latin America, and it was essentially about how you stand in solidarity with the poor. But where you see the word poor, replace it with persecuted Christian. And when you see poverty, replace it with persecuted church. And read liberation theology through that visor, and you will have a very good understanding of the kind of view that I have on these matters. Okay, we will assign a moderator, and Amber, I'm afraid if you're just going to insult my Lord, then you'll have to go. Okay, guys. I believe that we're going to swap over now to my show. How do we do that?
Yeah, so literally we'll have to end the stream soon, and literally he'll send me the link. He hasn't sent me the link yet. So
guys, we're going to appear on what's the show?
Manning singing show.
Manning. We're going to appear on a show called Manning Singing Show. Is that it?
Singer.
And you've got what's his channel called? Yeah. So we're going to end this live stream. This is our first one. I hope we'll have many more. Just give us a rating out of 10 how you found that. If you think it's crap, don't worry, I'm not going to be offended.
It's my first time.
It's my first time, and I've still got a lot to do. So give it a 1 if you thought it was rubbish, give it a 10 if you thought it was excellent, and whatever else in between, so that I've got a feel of how we did. Yeah, don't, honestly, guys, just an honest opinion. I'm not going to be hurt, and you don't need to flannel me. Okay, that doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a lot to do to impress Flat Blogger.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So we're going to end this stream, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go on to the Manny Singer.
Yes,
Manny Singer.
Yeah,
what's the show called? What's the channel called?
It's Manning Singer. That's what it's called, the Manning Singer.
Manning Singer. So I'll appear on there, and you can continue to listen to my ramblings if you want to. God bless. Have a good night.
Okay. End. Well done.
Okay.